Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name is Corey, better known as the Seaman, and I want. What? Where did you see there? There was something. Ooh, the show, man, is getting to me. Let's try this again. What's going on, everybody? My name is Corey, better known as the Seaman, and I want to welcome you to another edition of the Seaman's Cinema Sitdown. I apologize if I'm being a little jumpy. It is, of course, Wednesday night, American Horror Story night, and tonight was our penultimate episode. I can't believe the season's almost over already, man. I was talking, before, about how sometimes you have like a 13 episode season, and you're like, man, that should have been like 10. And sometimes you have a 10 episode season, you're like, it's too few. I want more. The season's been so good. But I tell you what, tonight was a fantastic setup and follow up to the last couple episodes. We've been in a bit of a setup mode, in the last, in 7 and 8. But tonight, we got some major pop, man. So pull up a chair, take a seat. I am getting ready to talk about, of course, episode 9, Fire and Rain. And we didn't necessarily see fire and rain per se, but we certainly saw some big time sequences that, like I said, after having a couple setup episodes, where there wasn't too much to like really react to tonight. I'm gonna give you a taste right now, man, because tonight there was some great pop, both funny and like, what? Check it out. So true.
Are you actually referring yours? You were the one who said the way to end the world.
I mean, you want to see all of it now, right? I only give you pieces. I give you little pieces. We'll stick around. Hopefully you watch the episode when we get to the spoiler half. You'll get to see everything that I was doing as we saw some craziness tonight, man. There were some crazy scenes that really made you like sit back and go, whoa. Tonight delivered big, man. And we got, great stuff from everybody that was involved in tonight's episode. We get some more Evan Peters and Billy Eichner. This episode, finally, they've given them some names. So we get, Evan Peters playing Jeff and Billy Eichner playing Mutt. Are two kind of tech geniuses that are running the robotics company that, recreated Mrs. Mead for Michael last week. And they're such a good duo on screen, man. Like, they really, every time they're on screen together, they're making you laugh. And they're finding different and creative ways, I think, to make you laugh. I really dug the opening sequence. That very opening scene. You're like, oh, what's... And they're just so great together. I really loved what Peters and Eichner bring all episode. We get a nice amount of time with Jeff and Mutt as they kind of try in this episode to help steer Michael in the direction that Michael needs to go in, or at least that they believe Michael needs to go in. And I really enjoyed everything that the two of them were doing tonight. They just continually are making you laugh, or just kind of saying all the things that some of us might be thinking about certain things. Evan Peters has a moment where I just sat and I was like, good God, you couldn't be more accurate in that statement. The stuff with them tonight was wonderful. Sarah Paulson, of course, every episode is wonderful. We get plenty of her as Cordelia Good, but we also get plenty of her back as Miss Wilhelmina Venable. And oh man, tonight was a nice episode for Venable. I really liked what we got there. And it kind of, like I said, this is an episode that was connecting a lot of dots to things that we saw at the beginning of the season that have led us to now, the finale. And the dots they connect, I kind of like what they did with Venable. I just love when Paulson plays her. She's just got this different switch when she's Venable versus when she's Cordelia. And her Cordelia stuff is really good. And she's involved in the best scene in the episode, but she is not the reason for the best scene in the episode. And the scene itself is just like one of those, oh man, kind of moments. But there is about a 5-second stint where Billy Lord just she wins the episode in 5 seconds, man. It was unbelievable to see the way she reacts to what happens in that scene. So I absolutely loved what we got from her, and I love where we're progressing her character to, and what we're doing with all the witches in general. Some major things happen tonight that really change a lot of things, and set up what hopefully will be something big for next week. And then, of course, Cody Fern, who's just been crushing it as Michael all season long. When he's on screen tonight, man, he is doing some big things. And his first, entrance into the episode, you're just like, oh, wow. Like, he means business. And he's got these cool red gloves on tonight that just popped. When he was walking in, he's got these red leather gloves. And for a minute, I was like, are his hands like covered in blood, or are they gloves? I couldn't tell. They were really cool, and he just all season long he's looked really cool. And I like the different ways that they incorporate red into his all black outfits. Right? We've seen the scarves, we've seen entrails. We see now you get the gloves. I just like the different ways. The eyeshadow. I just love the different things that we've done to incorporate red into Michael's basic all black attire appearance. But Cody Fern, man, just continues to keep crushing it. And like I said, I liked what we did with his character. I didn't like things his character did, but I liked the way he did what he did in the episode. I really dug it. It really kind of launches you into where we're headed next week, which is, we got a little bit, I think, left to catch up on as far as like past story. The witches are gonna have to see. Imagine we're gonna get to see some of the witches or people we didn't see at the beginning, their perspective of the nuclear attacks. And this is kind of funny. I was talking to my buddy, and it felt like the 2 episodes we got the last 2 weeks probably could have been 1 episode, because it feels like we're like an episode short. I feel like we could have this connecting bit that we're gonna get the start of next episode, like the next, in the finale, as its own story, and then just focus on the present and the battle for the next hour, however long the finale is going to be. That being said, though, I really dug what was going on tonight. I thought they did some great setup, and the finale should be rather explosive and a lot of fun. I'm really pumped for where we head to next week. All right, I've rambled too long, and can't say the word rambled either. So it is time to move on to our full recap, breakdown, spoiler review. So that's all I've got to say, man, non-spoiler wise about this episode. If you have not seen Fire and Rain, now's your time to get out of here, man. You got to get out, because we're going to talk about everything. So give me a 5, give me a 4, give me a 3, give me a 2, give me a 1. See you later, man. Ain't got to go home, but you got to get the heck up out of here. It is spoiler time. And like I said, man, this episode starts with just a bang. And not an actual bang, more like a click. We get a gun just pointed dead center like that at the camera, and you're like, oh, what's... why don't we just give you the full bit of what I had going on tonight in this opening scene?
Think it's ready for bullets?
Oh boy, my head hurts when you get all existential and shit.
Just Peters is so good, and what they're doing with Jeff and Mutt is just so good. I mean, to have like him testing, robotic arms with a gun, and he's at a point where he's like, just kill me, because he doesn't want to get caught up in all the stuff that Michael's getting caught up in. At this point, Jeff is ready to let's get the world to burn, man. I want the apocalypse to be here. We need to wipe the world clean. He goes into an entire bit about how he was at a traffic light and he didn't make the green arrow. The guy in front of him didn't. The green arrow disappeared on the left turn, and the guy stopped even though the light was green, and nobody was coming, and he just sat there until the light went red. And I have experienced this myself, and let me tell you, so spot on accurate. I was freaking out.
The car in front of me just sits there. Doesn't pull into the intersection. The driver doesn't get that a green light means you can make a fucking left-hand turn if there's no oncoming traffic, even without a fucking left-hand turn arrow.
So true.
He doesn't move. The driver needs the fucking arrow. People have to be pointed in the exact fucking direction. When everyone becomes so fucking stupid.
I don't know. Maybe
So so true. It is so true. You experience stuff like that, and some days it makes you just want to be like, yeah, man, like, God, just start over. Not actually. I've never thought that in my life. But you can understand where Jeff's coming from when you're in that peak of anger from traffic things. I can totally feel where he's coming from. And that kind of launches him and Mutt into a discussion of, okay, we got to push Michael. And that's exactly what they do. They have the ability to actually, as much as Mrs. Mead is an AI, and they've used elements from what stories and things that Michael told them to build her AI so she feels like Mead. They have the ability to watch everything that she's seeing and take over her voice control, like by typing things in.
Maybe they have the answers. Really, they seem like a bunch of coked out nerds to me. Rude. They're very smart. Not to mention good looking.
So they essentially lead him to the cooperative, and we get to find out some major details tonight about the cooperative. As they start talking about it, you find out that the cooperative is actually the Illuminati. For marketing and like social reasons, they changed their name to the cooperative, but in reality, it's the Illuminati. And they basically tell him like everybody in it has sworn their allegiance to the Dark Lord, to Satan, to the devil himself, which means they've sworn allegiance to you. Which means they're basically your minions. They can do whatever you want. And this is how they instill the idea of the apocalypse. We have political figures. We have all these different people in the cooperative. We can make the apocalypse actually happen. And it's Mutt and Jeff that push Michael to get that ball rolling. And what's cool, man, is we actually get to see the cooperative in action. It's a wonderful shot. They're inside like a boardroom, and Michael's at the front, and all of a sudden as he comes in, everybody stands and moves. You're like, oh, shoot, the room is actually full. It feels like it's empty because everyone's in black. And when they sit down, they've all got these metal masks on, so you have no idea who they are. They're reflective masks. There's a shot, actually, a really nice shot of where Michael looks at one, and you see his reflection clear as day in it. But despite that, he still knows who everybody is. That's basically how we get to the point where we are going to launch nuclear war to start the apocalypse. And the other thing that they figured out is that he wants these shelters. So shelters so that we can have select people, as we'd learned in the beginning, so that we can start anew with the people we want to start anew with. And this is leading us back to, at the beginning of the episode when Venable comes in, she starts asking questions. The two of them are kind of dodging her, and she's like, I've been here for forever. You won't give me anything. She blames it on her health. And they're like, it has nothing to do with your scoliosis. It's the chip on your shoulder. Like, just let it go. And she quits, and actually, like, quits. And I guess she's done this before. And ultimately, by the time we get to the back half of her story, they offer her the position to run all of these shelters. They need an administrator. And Sarah Paulson just eats the screen alive as Venable during these sequences, one toward the front and then one toward the back. But I love that we get to see that. There's all our connecting pieces, how we got to the cooperative, why, how she's running what she's running. Clearly, I would imagine next week in that, bit of backstory we still have to fill in, we'll see Venable and Mead meet and see how that all started, hopefully, before we get into the actual post-apocalyptic stuff on the back end. And then to top it off, man, Michael's night ends with him returning to the Warlock's lair, and we don't see this happen. It happens off screen. But when the witches head to the Warlock's lair after he's, massacred the Coven, they walk into the bunker to see every single warlock killed and laid out in a pentagram.
Oh my. Oh. Oh, that's...
Dude. Like, they're all crisscross and laying over top of each other to make a star, and then like arms and legs and limbs are making the circle around. Oh man, it was terrifying. And then of course there are the witches, the Coven, and what goes on with the Coven tonight is massive. And it starts with, like I said, Jeff and Mutt kind of pushing Michael's buttons, like kind of giving him the shoe, like we gotta start doing things. So he wants to start by wiping out the witches, and the witches have, Cordelia says she has like a spell on the house that'll protect them, and that's where we get to see good old Miss Adina Porter playing Dinah Stevens, the new voodoo queen, and she comes in and does one of these crazy voodoo rituals, breaks that seal so Michael can come in, and the witches, they're all training. We get to see, plenty of familiar faces, including Taysa Farmiga, who's kind of leading the way as Zoe, kind of being the main teacher, and then Queenie steps in, Gabori Sadib. She comes in and kind of they're going back and forth. Michael walks in and they all stop and they're like, "How did you get in here?" And Michael proceeds to say, "I told your leader what I was going to do to you, and I got so many witches to kill." And he starts. They had these like little protective, or they're creating a protective spell for all of their rooms or places that they go. Basically by putting all these little objects into the glass, and he launches them all up and goes, and it's like nails and things that are sharp into all the witches, and then Meade pulls off her arm and just starts laying waste to everybody. It was like the Red Wedding, dude. My head literally exploded.
Oh, come on. You can't be that surprised to see me.
Fuck no, you will kill Einstein. Yours.
I told Cordelia what I was going to do to all of you. I have deaths to avenge.
Me? How the fuck are you here?
I was built for this.
Oh God. It's him. This way up here. No, we need to stop him. We have to keep you safe. I don't understand. Our sisters are dying. There is nothing you can do to help. You are not ready. He is going to kill you, and I can't let that happen.
I sat there and now it wasn't as graphic or as like visceral as the Red Wedding was, but same kind of thing. Like I was not ready for like the wipeout, and I should have known, right? Because we don't have many of the witches in the beginning of the season. I mean, I actually asked back in like episode 1, 2, like why was where was Zoe, where was Queenie, why was it only Madison and Myrtle with Cordelia. And boom, we get to see why. And the scene where Cordelia goes back to try to save them, when she sees Taysa Farmiga on the ground, heartbreaking, dude. Like it got exactly the amount of time it deserved. And then of course when she tries to bring them back, they're actually not in the room, that they've fled, because otherwise Michael would have killed them. They get out of the house, but she can send herself back. She can kind of teleport herself mentally, and she tries to bring their spirits back, but we of course know that Michael can extinguish spirits altogether, or extinguish souls, so there's nothing there, and there's nothing, they just kind of disappear, and you're just like, oh my God, they're not just dead, they're gone. And that's what leads us to, I think, the biggest and most important bit of the entire episode, and that's what goes on with Billy Lord's Mallory. They figure out, Myrtle kind of mentions that like when Mallory saved that deer on the side of the road, she didn't just save it, she like reversed time almost and restored it to like its youthful version of being a deer. So maybe it would be possible to send her back in time, even though it's never been documented or recorded, or ever done. She thinks maybe they could do it, and they end up sending her back. And they do this really cool effect where they put her in a tub, and like as they start doing the spell, the tub kind of starts to bubble and then turns completely black, and they shove her in. And you're just like, whoa! Like I wasn't ready for like the violent shove into the water. I was like, oh man! And then she does go back, and they told this story. They kind of wanted her to practice, so Michael wouldn't know that she has this ability to go back to 1918 to try to save this witch and her family when she was trying to create a protective spell. It's like in Germany, I think, and these bad guys are gonna shoot everybody, and she does. She creates it, and the first gunshot stops it. The second one stops it, but the shot itself kind of startles her, and she's not strong enough, and they kill her whole family. So they send Mallory back to save her, and Mallory does. But as Mallory starts to get up, her power and the spell isn't strong enough. She starts to fade, and as soon as she disappears, the wall comes down and they lay waste to everybody. This is where you get that 5 seconds that I was talking about, man.
I'm gonna try and get my way out of here. Come on. Somebody's quick. Somebody's here. You're in home. You are with us. You are safe. It's me. It's me.
Mallory comes shooting out of the tub and screaming at the top of her lungs while her eyes are bleeding, her nose is bleeding, and she's just like, send me back, I have to, send me back, I have to go back, I have to save them, I have to save. And, you know, Cordelia kind of calms her down, but that 5 second bit of shooting out of the tub and that just, like, emotional delivery, I sat there, I was like, wow, Billy Lord, you just won the episode. It was phenomenal. It was some of the best stuff that I've seen from her clearly all season. And she's had a couple nice moments that have been in these short little spans, right? When she popped back on Michael back in episode like 3 or 4. She does when she has these pop moments. So I cannot wait to see what she plays in the back part of this as we head towards the apocalypse. Man, all the stones and pieces have been put into place. And like I said, it was cool to see the cooperative get formed and the way it kind of all played into Michael's hand. A lot of really big kind of like moments, as well as like a ton of laughter. I laughed so much this episode because of Evan Peters and Billy Eichner. The two of them are just such a great combo. I was glad that we got to spend another bit of time with them, and it's revealed that they're the actual ones that kind of pushed Michael into this plan with the cooperative and, you know, the nuclear war angle for the apocalypse. So I loved. And like I said, you know, you got some really great stuff from Michael, you know, who it's you. Oh, I'm playing with you guys. It's me, man. I'm just hitting my break. I thought it was a funny effect. I figured I'd do it a couple times. But that's it, man. I'm gonna stop talking. I love tonight's episode. You know, it was, you know, probably in the top 5 probably for the whole season. It was really good, and it certainly had the biggest shock moment of the season. The watch, and you should have, like I said, should have seen it coming. But when it happens, it just happens so suddenly and just starts going down. And you're like, oh man, and that was Queenie tries to, so as everybody's dying, right? Like Taysa gets shot in the forehead right away. And you know, Queenie tries to do her like voodoo bit where she can like slit her neck and affect somebody. They're all confused why Mead is back. So when she does, Mead just starts bleeding all the white, and Queenie's face, oh man, absolutely hysterical. So that stuff was cool, man. I really enjoyed tonight's episode, but now it is your turn. Hit those comments down below. Please mark spoilers as such, as we do of course have some people who are only here for the non-spoiler portion. So you can talk about whatever you want, but mark spoilers if you got them. Let me know what you were liking, what you didn't like. Did you kind of like, literally one of the first things that popped in my head was Red Wedding. It didn't clearly have the visual effect or pop that one did, and just guttural punch. That one was way harder. But did that come into your head? What did you think of when that was going on? Did you like where we're at now with Michael and Cordelia, and with Venable and Jeff and Mutt? Are you glad that they gave them names? Let me know everything you're thinking down below. As always, if you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. And if you're new here, hit that subscribe and little bell so you get alerts every time I make a new video. For the Seaman's Cinema Sit Down, red light effects and all, I am the Seaman. And until the finale next week, get ready, guys. It's gonna be big, and I might just do something special for you. Keep your eyes peeled, man. I'll certainly be on social media talking about what's coming up next week. But get ready for that finale, man. For the Seaman Cinema Sit Down, I'm the Seaman. I am signing off. Peace.
Hey, I'm the Seaman and I'm running at you. Hey, look at this. I got a video, and a subscribe button. Hey.